In a quiet corner of a vast forest lived a tiny seed buried deep inside the dry soil. The land around it had not seen rain for a very long time. The sun burned the ground every day, and the wind carried dust across the empty land. Many plants around the seed had already dried up and disappeared. The little seed felt lonely and afraid. It often wondered why life had placed it in such a harsh place. It could not grow because the soil was hard, and there was no water to nourish it. One evening, as the sun was setting, a gentle butterfly flew across the dry field. The butterfly noticed the sad little seed struggling in the cracked soil. The seed spoke softly. "Dear butterfly, you look like you travel far and wide. Can you tell me if this suffering will ever end? Will I ever grow into something beautiful?" The butterfly felt compassion for the tiny seed and replied kindly, "I am flying toward the great garden where the wise guardian of nature lives. I will ask about your destiny and return with an answer." The seed felt a small spark of hope. The butterfly continued its long journey and finally reached the beautiful great garden. Flowers of every color bloomed there, and the air smelled sweet and fresh. At the entrance stood the wise guardian of nature. The butterfly told the guardian about the tiny seed suffering in the dry land and asked when its difficult days would end. The guardian looked thoughtful for a moment and then said, "The seed is meant to face many seasons of hardship before it can grow. That is the path written for it." The butterfly felt sad hearing this. But is there anything that can help the seed? The guardian smiled gently and replied, "There is one powerful thing. Tell the seed to whisper these words every day, no matter what happens. I am grateful for everything life gives me. If the seed truly believes these words, something wonderful may happen." The butterfly quickly flew back to the dry field and shared the message with the tiny seed. At first, the seed did not fully understand. How could it be grateful when everything around it felt so difficult? But the seed decided to try. Whenever the hot sun burned the soil, the seed whispered, "I am grateful for everything life gives me." When the wind blew harshly and covered it with dust, the seed whispered again, "I am grateful for everything life gives me." When the nights felt cold and lonely, it still repeated the same words with sincerity. Days passed. Something strange began to change. The seed started feeling stronger inside. Instead of focusing on the dryness around it, it began noticing small blessings: the warmth of sunlight, the cool breeze in the evening, the soft sound of distant birds. One morning, dark clouds slowly gathered in the sky. The wind became cooler, and the scent of rain filled the air. Soon, gentle drops of rain began falling onto the thirsty earth. The soil softened, and the tiny seed absorbed the precious water. Slowly, it began to grow. A small green shoot pushed its way out of the ground. Days later, the little shoot became a young plant. Birds started resting on its leaves. Insects buzzed happily around it, and the once empty land slowly became alive again. The plant grew taller and stronger with every passing day until it became a beautiful tree full of bright green leaves. One day, the butterfly returned while flying across the land. It was amazed to see a strong tree standing where the tiny, struggling seed once lived. The butterfly landed on one of its branches and asked, "Is that really you?" The tree answered with joy, "Yes, it is me. Everything changed when I learned to be grateful." The butterfly smiled and said, "Sometimes life does not change because our problems disappear. It changes because our hearts become stronger." The tree gently swayed in the wind and replied, "Gratitude turned my struggle into growth." And from that day on, the tree continued whispering the same words to the wind, hoping every passing seed would hear it. Be grateful for everything life gives you, and even the hardest soil can become a garden.